What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another David Rams live stream. And today, well, we knew this day was coming, didn't we? We knew that we were going to get this video and that we were going to react to it and call out some of the BS. So let's just, well, first off, let's not just dive in. Let's say hello, first of all, guys. Let's introduce ourselves. So let's have a look. Mag's here, JP and Julia. GG, what's up, guys? Hi, everybody. Sorry, I always jump the gun, don't I? I get excited to get into it. Samuel, what's up? Who else we got? Christina, hello. Ram fam. How is everybody doing? Mark is here. You guys love the drama, huh? We always get a lot of people in for the, the drama streams. All right, guys. Hi, everyone. I'm David Rams. I'm here today to do a live stream reaction to CosmicSkeptic's new video, Alex O'Connor's new video. Now, who is he? What's happened? CosmicSkeptic is a big YouTuber, over 500,000 subs, and he just made a post, a very vague, irresponsible post about quitting veganism. He was a vegan before, and now he's made a video explaining his situation. If you don't know who he is or why you should care about this, he was quite influential in the vegan space. He was giving talks, he was making videos, he was debating people. He went quite a long way with the vegan ethics to really try and convince people to be vegan and even to be activists. And he succeeded quite a lot too. He gave speeches and stuff, encouraged a lot of people to go vegan and become activists, actually succeeded in that, as I said. And so him doing this U-turn, I mean, it does matter. It's quite a big deal. It's something that I want to address it. But if you're not into that, if you're not interested, hey, you can go do something else, right? If you are interested in what I've got to say about this, well, today I'm going to react to his video explaining why he's no longer vegan. And he tries to explain, he gives quite a bit of information and it gets a little bit deep and emotional, probably you could say. It's quite personal to him. But I'm just going to give you a heads up here, guys. I'm going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to be pretty direct. I'm not going to hold back. But I'm also not going to try and roast him either, because I don't want to be the cause of any more of his problems. Because you'll see when we watch the video, he's having some problems. I don't want to be somebody who's making his life worse, okay? But I do want to call out his BS. And we're going to walk that fine line today between calling out the BS and telling it how it is and holding him accountable, right, when he's chatting nonsense. And of course, although I don't want to contribute any more to the torture he's going through in his life, I don't want to be part of that. I also am not going to shy away from pointing out the torture he's now putting on animals, okay? Because that's important, and we need to make sure that's very clear and a clear point. No matter how bad your life is, you can't make other lives worse, okay? That's just not okay. It's not a trade-off that we're going to accept, okay? So I'm here for the animals first and, him second. All right, guys? So, shall we get into it? Shall we have a look at the video? Okay, before we do, remember, guys, if you've got something to tell me today, something you want me to read out, something you want me to react to, respond to, or you just want to support the stream, use the Streamlabs link. It's pinned there in the top pinned comment. Send through, and I will respond to it basically as soon as I possibly can, right? I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll react to it, respond to it. You use the super chat as well. They're both available today. So here, Dweller Mickens already on it. You said, sorry for the long email. I'm currently watching an incredible movie you absolutely have to watch. It's called Walking Life. I'm just a bit lit, but anyway, so here for this video, let's go. Oh, good. If you're a bit lit, man, good. Because, you'll enjoy the video then, won't you? Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. A good start. Someone's at home drunk watching. Love that. All right, sweet. So let's get into the video then, all right, guys? Here's the video we're going to react to, posted just today. It's more about my community post is the title. 33,000 views posted 9 hours ago by CosmicSkeptic. Let's just get into it.
Been particularly easy.
So
as you can imagine, the past couple of weeks have not been particularly easy for me, but of course this is something that I expected when I made my community post announcement about consuming animal products. I expected that there would be a great deal of sadness and disappointment and hatred and anger and all of these kinds of things. So I want to be able to get back to producing regular content, and I've been working on a new project that is launching very soon. It's going to be the next thing you see on this channel, but I wanted to make sure that I at least spoke about this on camera before doing so. I don't know what kind of video this is. I don't know what I'm going to call it. I'm basically just trying not to sensationalize this.
So, all right, a few things here. I mean, yeah, you should expect the bad comments. You should expect the sadness, disappointment, hatred, anger. That's the things he said he was going to get. And yeah, because you have been telling people that what is it? Extraordinary suffering requires extraordinary justification. Was that the quote he used? You've been saying things like that, and then now you make a vague post that you're going back to eating animals. So yeah, people are annoyed, and they're seeing you as an inconsistent hypocrite and a dangerous, violent hypocrite who's now going back to abusing animals. And the point about not sensationalizing this, dude, you already did that after you posted that community post. You sensationalized the whole thing. You didn't have to post or say anything until you were dealt with the issues you're having. And by the way, we're going to get into that. But you decided to make a post that you knew was going to cause shit, and then follow it up with a video that you also knew was going to cause shit. You have sensationalized this entire thing, mate. And so I mean, maybe you were trying not to sensationalize things, but you have failed in that massively.
I recognize that this kind of video can cause a lot of drama, bring a lot of attention, a lot of negative attention to the vegan movement, to animal advocacy. That's really something I'm trying to avoid. You know, I've been thinking a lot about how best to approach this whilst doing the least harm to animals and the least harm to the vegan movement as a whole. I'm still not entirely sure what that looks like. Of course,
Well, I can tell you what it doesn't look like. It doesn't look like writing a couple of paragraphs out of the blue, posting it on your community tab with completely vague and irresponsible words about then how you're now eating animals and you no longer see the point in or the efficacy, or what was it he said, of an individual boycott. I no longer see the point of stopping stabbing animals in the throat. I don't think it's going to change anything. I'm paraphrasing here, but that was kind of the vibe when he said, I no longer believe in the efficacy, or what was it, something like that, of an individual boycott. So I mean, yeah, if you're thinking about this, an approach of how to do the least harm on the vegan animals and the least harm on the vegan movement, again, that's not what it looks like to me, mate. That's a big fail too.
Ideally, you would have wanted me to just stay totally plant-based, but I'm hoping to explain some of the reasons why I didn't do that. But crucially, and I should say this from the outset, even though it should be obvious, look, I'm not some kind of nutritionist. I'm certainly not a nutritional expert. And so I'm in a bit of an awkward situation here in that, you know, I feel I want to explain some of the problems that I was facing in maintaining a healthy plant-based diet. But I want to clarify that shouldn't be informing your position on the viability of a plant-based diet for yourself.
Okay, well then why make the video then? Like, what's the point of the video if not to influence people? That was the original claim made in his community post, wasn't it? That he didn't want people to be trying a diet that he himself couldn't maintain. So it's like, okay, if this isn't to try to influence people one way or the other, why even make the video, all right? And honestly, the language that he's using here, it suggests that when he's saying, I'm not an expert, well, now would be the time to say, but I have seen an expert, wouldn't it? Like, oh, but I have seen an expert, and here's what they said. But he's not saying that. And I'll tell you now, spoiler alert, throughout this entire video, he never once says he saw any kind of nutritional expert or doctor or anything. No plant-based doctor, no plant-based nutritionalist, even though he has access to all of them. He's friends with Earthling Ed, he's friends with Joey, right? These people know people. He's got contacts. He could have contacted anybody. He chose not to, and it seems like from this video, he doesn't mention it once, so we can only assume that he chose not to contact any of these people. Otherwise, wouldn't he have said it to try and justify himself, to try and make himself look better? That's what I think. I mean, obviously, there's a bit of speculation there, but yeah, it's really disappointing.
A lot of people have been sending me studies, in particular the American Dietetic Association study that being vegan is healthy at all stages of life, including pregnancy, as if this is new information to me. Yeah, as if this isn't something that I was already aware of and wasn't citing myself. Of course, the American Dietetic Association says that a well-planned vegan diet is healthful at all stages of life. The key point is well-planned there, and my problem is not with the idea that every nutrient that's required to be healthy can be found in a plant-based diet. I think that it can. My problem is with the practicability of maintaining it for myself. So people have been asking, well, what's this magical nutrient that you can only get from an animal product that you can't get from plants? I want to clarify from the start, there isn't one. Every nutrient that you need to be healthy can be found in an adequately planned plant-based diet.
Well, at least we got that out of the way. You know, at least he's not trying to claim, I mean, that's a good point of this video, that he's not trying to say it's nutritionally deficient, because that would just be going against all the science he's been quoting for the last how many years, right? A couple of years. So at least that's out of the way. That's done. So, okay, let's define exactly what was the problem then. Let's get to that.
I just want to talk to you about some of the reasons why I found it very difficult to maintain a healthy plant-based diet. I also want to clarify that I really don't know what my diet's going to look like going forwards. I don't know if I'll continue to eat these foods or whether I'll be able to abandon them again in the future. I really don't know. So I'm not trying to do an ex-vegan, anti-vegan thing. I'm not trying to come out and say, veganism did this to me, I had a horrible experience, and this is why you shouldn't be vegan. Like, I still want to encourage people to be vegan. I still want to encourage people, of course, to care about animal suffering and to help bring about the end of factory farming. Like, the fact of the matter is...
So it's, I mean, look, we'll take the positives where we can take them, all right? Because trust me, it's going to go downhill. I've already watched it once. I've, gathered my thoughts. So it's going to go downhill from here, okay, guys? So let's take the pros where we can. So I find it to be reassuring that he's not going full anti-vegan, all right? Like that's good that he's not going down that road, at least not yet anyway. I mean, if he's mates with Michaela Peterson, it could be on the cards, but hey, we can't, we'll just have to wait and see. But the fact still stands that this U-turn that he's made, this U-turn is already ammunition for everyone who had any doubts about the plant-based diet or veganism. This big U-turn he's made is just so much ammunition for them. So he's kind of, again, this idea of him wanting to encourage people to care about animal suffering, and factory farming, it's a massive fail because of his big U-turn here already with this. He's already done damage, and I don't think this video will repair any of that damage. And I don't even know, by the way, why he keeps going on about factory farming. Like, I've been in a ton of these small, eco, organic, etc. farms, free-range, organic, blah, 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 and slaughterhouses. And, okay, yeah, they're cleaner. I'll give you that. They're a little bit cleaner than the huge factory, non-eco, blah, blah, blah ones. But the violence is still there. Like an eco-organic slaughterhouse is no less violent than a factory slaughterhouse. They're equally violent. And the farms, it's just as violent. It's just as disgusting for the animals. It's still confined, still animals in slavery. It's still animals that are going to go to a slaughterhouse. It's still animal bodies that are being used and abused for animal products that people don't need. I don't know why he keeps focusing on factory farming. It's this welfarist perspective. And he tends to do this throughout the video as well, as if it's somehow, if it's not factory farmed, then it's okay for animals. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's absolutely not at all okay for those animals that aren't in factory farms. They all go to the same slaughterhouses, and they're all having their bodies used and abused against their will. It doesn't matter how clean it is, mate, or how big or small it is. That's the only difference between the factory farms: the size, the scale, and how dirty they are. It doesn't matter if you fix those problems. The problem is still what's happening to animals. Anyway, he knows this. He knows this, and he's preached this himself. But I guess he kind of forgot that now.
I still think animal suffering matters greatly. I still want to see the end of factory farming as soon as possible. All that happened was, in practice, in my life, I found it difficult to maintain a healthy plant-based diet. That's it, really. I understand why that would annoy people or upset people, especially given that I'm somebody with a public platform, but that's what this breaks down to. Now,
so he found it difficult. Did he find it more difficult than what an animal goes through? Do you think, guys? Tell me in the chat. Do you think what Cosmic Skeptic went through is on the level with what an average animal in animal agriculture goes through? Right, at level or worse? Put worse, worse or no. There are your two options. Put worse. If you think Cosmic had it worse, put the word worse. If you don't think he had it worse, put the word no. It's not. I mean, it's not a rhetorical question. I mean, it kind of is a rhetorical question, to be fair, because we all know the bloody answer is. But we'll continue.
For most of my life, I've had a particular set of health issues, just like most people have some health issues that I must stress are unrelated to veganism. They're not caused by veganism. I had them before I was vegan. It's nothing like that. But for instance, one of the most important or relevant here is IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, which people have to varying degrees. I've suffered with it quite severely for most of my life. It's not been as bad as I've been getting older, but it essentially translates to having some severe stomach problems, as well as I don't really know how to put it, but you need to make sure you have access to a toilet. For most of my childhood, one of the great miseries of my life was that I essentially wouldn't be able to go anywhere that didn't have an immediate toilet access, because otherwise I'd be absolutely stuck out. And the anxiety of just being there and knowing that that was the case would be enough to bring on the symptoms of IBS, and I'd just be paralyzed by it.
Now, like, guys, there's no need to understate this. When I compared his situation to the animals, that wasn't to say his situation wasn't bad. It's just that it's nowhere near as bad as the average animal in animal agriculture. But IBS, guys, it is brutal. It's absolutely brutal. There's a lot of people that suffer with it. Mostly non-vegans suffer with it, of course, because most people are non-vegan. But yeah, vegans also suffer with it. It's something that, you know, for example, you can look at someone like Lifting Vegan Logic, Danny. A lot of his family has it. It's almost they're thinking, is it hereditary, because so many of them have it, and his whole family isn't most of his family aren't vegan, so it's not a vegan specific problem. Just want to make that completely clear. Actually, what I've seen is with IBS and Crohn's disease as well, which is very similar. There's like a crossover there. Is that a lot of people say they improved after going vegan because obviously they removed dairy, and dairy is a pretty big trigger for a lot of people. So a huge trigger, actually, dairy. So yeah, and I can tell you some stuff from personal experience too. We're going to get to that a little bit later on, a little bit more in depth about IBS. But let's Alex keep going for now.
This was livable. That is an important thing to stress. It's not like the pain that I experience when I suffer from these symptoms is completely and utterly debilitating. As I say, as long as I'm in a situation where I can deal with it, as long as I have a toilet nearby, as long as I don't need to be doing something important. But the problem is that, of course, when there was something I needed to be doing, so if I was giving a talk or a debate, or even if I was attending a lecture or a debate or something like that, or indeed if I was just hanging out with friends in a place that didn't have a toilet access, if we were just going for a picnic or like hanging out by the river or something, I knew that if I was going to eat something and then go to these things, there was a good chance that I was going to run into quite a bit of trouble. And so what I would do is have a very restricted relationship to food.
So, I mean, we can already see here that this is a psychological as well as a physical problem, right? At this point, you know that he's saying the stress of the thought of having to rush to a toilet at short notice caused him to have the problem that you would need to rush to the toilet. So like thinking about going somewhere remote with friends where there's no toilet would stress him out so much that it would cause the problem. And that's something that I can empathize with. It's something that anyone who's had any slight IBS issues or Crohn's disease issues can empathize with. Sometimes the psychological stress of knowing that this could happen makes it happen. It's extremely common, by the way. These conditions are super common. Mr. Beast is probably the most famous person that I know that has Crohn's. And as you've mentioned in the chat, Danny, Lifting Vegan Logic, he has Crohn's, right? So these symptoms, what he's describing, they're pretty brutal. It's fair to say. It's also fair to say here, again, just to stress this, that there's some psychological stuff going on here. There's some mental health issues you can see already at this point. And this is going to be important for how we translate and how we kind of respond to this video, how we respond to Alex as we move forward.
In these instances, it meant essentially not eating or eating very minimally and safely whenever I was in one of these circumstances. So sometimes, you know, we'd be out and people would be getting food and people would notice that I'm not really eating anything or not finishing a meal that was in front of me, or being really picky with my food. And a lot of the time I'd have to politely decline to eat various foods because I was just so worried that it was going to set off a reaction in my stomach. And one of the worst things about it is that it was quite unpredictable. I never knew when the stomach was going to flare up. So sometimes I'd be able to eat and be fine, but I didn't want to run that risk. And so in any of these kind of circumstances, I'd be restricting my eating very greatly. And this is something that I did before I was vegan as well. So I was well adjusted.
So, I mean, this sounds incredibly unhealthy, doesn't it? Like the fact that he's not been eating properly at all. Sometimes he's saying he's choosing to specifically not eat anything. I mean, that's kind of like, it reminds me of this other situation where this anti-vegan TikToker or whatever made a video about this vegan parents who killed their baby with a vegan diet, obviously like this, and then in the report they didn't feed the baby for a week, but then everyone's trying to pin it on the fact that it's because they were vegan, right? With Alex here, you'll see later on, he does try to pin his nutritional issues on the plant-based diet, but he's just here announced that at times wasn't even eating, and that this was before going vegan. So yeah.
To it. But essentially, if I was going out and doing something, like if I was going out to a field somewhere, or if I was going to give a talk, I just wouldn't really eat, or I'd eat very minimally, and I'd eat very safe foods that obviously weren't particularly nutritionally adequate, but would help me to get some calories in. And then hopefully after I'd finished whatever it was I was doing, go somewhere more suitable and I'd be able to eat more food. Now,
So like you see, it sounds really bad. It's like a really bad relationship with food. And I wondered at this point if he's ever actually thought about taking one of these like anti-diarrhea tablets, like what are they called? I can't remember what they're called. You know what they are, right? Or like a small amount of one for when he goes to give a talk, because then he would, for that talk with all the nerves and stuff, he would have it controlled, right? And he'd have some security in his body just for that moment. And you can just quarter the tablet. You don't have to take the whole thing and not be able to poo for like a week or something. Just take like a tiny amount of the tablet, and it would give you the mental confidence to be like, I'm safe now. And you go up on the stage. So I wonder if he'd considered that. I mean, obviously, at this point, it's important to clarify that these are problems that eating meat is not like fixing the problem, right? None of this is like, oh, I'm having all these problems, I'll eat meat, or I'll have all these problems, I'll eat seafood. That so far we've had no real justification or explanation for what he's doing, and he just tried to explain it as we go forward, but it doesn't add up.
This clearly isn't ideal, right? Like, this isn't a particularly healthy way to live, but it was essentially a choice between that or just turning down all of these opportunities and not doing any of these things. I'm well aware of the fact that every nutrient we need to be healthy can be found on an adequately planned vegan diet. My problem is with the practicability of this. You can imagine in a situation like the one I've just described, how it can be difficult even to make sure you're getting the right amount of calories, let alone making sure that you're on top of your macro and your micronutrient balance. Now,
yeah, I mean, the situation that he's just described, where he's skipping meals, not eating properly, worried about his speaking arrangements, so, eating after and having minimal meals during a day, I mean, that's all a problem. That's a problem whether you're eating plant-based meals or not. But if in the time that you are eating, you're eating nutritionally dense plant-based meals, which if you live in England, okay guys, it's not like there's not many places in the world where it's impossible to get that, right? But if you live in England, it's not just possible, it's like convenience culture with the plant-based food there, with highly nutritional plant-based meals. Even if you don't want to cook yourself, you can get it from the shop. It's super easy. But of course, even if you couldn't get it from the shop, if what your inconveniences are not as important as what goes on with animals. So the point I'm making here is first off, you got to fix that problem with the fact that you're eating significantly less in general. But secondly, if you're not going to fix that, just make sure the meals that you are eating are packed with a lot of nutrition, plant-based nutrition. That's not hard. You live in England, not some bloody remote part of a developing country, dude. Like, that's not an excuse.
It's important to stress that I don't have any health problems, at least to my knowledge, that are caused by veganism, right? Like the IBS thing, I'm not saying that veganism causes this. And of course, even if somebody's a non-vegan, living in this way is not the healthiest way to live. You're still going to run into problems if you're not eating for a whole day and only eat like a couple of meals or one meal in the evening when you get the opportunity. But because of the fact that it is easier to get the nutrients that are required to be healthy on a non-vegan diet, which, say what you like about it being easy to live healthily as a vegan, which I believe in many cases it can be and is, it is easier to not be one.
Man, so basically all he's saying here is, this is the honesty part. It's all about the convenience here. He has health issues, but that's not the reason he is no longer vegan. That's not, the health issues aren't the reason. It's just because he wants to be. He wants the easy life. He wants the convenience. That's what's going on here. And he's trying to, in my opinion, I feel like he's trying to mask it with the health stuff, when the reality is he just wants a more simple, convenient life at this point because he's feeling sick. And look, if you're going to be, everybody can be a fair weather vegan, right? When things are going swimmingly, everything's going well, you feel good, you've got vegan items everywhere, specialty items, and they're cheap enough, and everything's, and everybody can be a vegan, right? But, when you're tested to, wait, are you actually a vegan? That test comes when shit gets hard, right? When shit gets less convenient. So you go on traveling and all those products have gone, right? You're in, I don't know, you're in some remote country in the world. And now all you can eat is stuff like rice and beans. And that's the only thing you can get hold of. Now, are you really a vegan? Well, here's where the test comes. Do you put your bullshit over animal lives, right? And if the answer's no, I don't, you eat rice and fucking beans for the 6 months that you're traveling and you enjoy it. You enjoy that shit because you're happy that you're not putting animals in slaughterhouses. That's a vegan. You find out if you're a vegan or not when shit gets hard. Alex, I have empathy for this guy. I have had some things I'll talk to you about. I've had health issues, right? That are not too dissimilar to what he's talking about, as loads of people in the world have. I empathize. It feels shit. But when you feel shit, when you really feel shit, when you're feeling it to the point where you're like, oh my God, I don't even know if I want to be around anymore. I don't even want to get up. I don't want to. That's when you're tested. That's when you're tested to see, do you put yourself before animals, right? And that's what makes a bloody vegan. It's not just, you know, it's easy. As I said one more time, it's easy to be vegan when everything's going well. When shit goes to shit, that's when you're tested, and that's when it's really important because life isn't easy, guys. Life gets difficult, all right? And in 2023 in England, guys, it is not necessarily easier to get nutrition without being vegan at this point. As I said earlier, you've got ready-made meals up on the shelf that have tons of nutrition in them. They're so much healthier than they used to be, and they have vegan ones now. They have things like soups, pastas, curries, these little pots that have these like really nice nutritional meals in them. You can get those. They're not like the healthiest in the world, but they're a lot further, a lot better than how they used to be. So if you're lazy, you can get them. If you're not being lazy, you make your own food, you make your own nutritionally dense meals, and you take them around with you for when you feel like you can eat. There are ways to do this, all right? So yeah, it might be more convenient to not be vegan because, hey, you got temptation everywhere, you've got the food you grew up with, that you want them, right? Fine, yeah, that's true, but we all know that's not a good enough excuse to put animals in slaughterhouses. We all know it's not a good enough excuse to stab animals in the throat. Nutritionally, Alex, you're full of shit on that. But if it's, you know, take that away. If it's just you know, what you want to do, what you like to do, what makes you feel good, like you're like nostalgia food, stuff like that. Yeah, you're right there. I guess it's easier in that way. But nutritionally, I don't buy it. And to be honest, dude, listening to how he's been talking about how he eats and the kind of, you know, starvation he's been putting his body through. I mean, when he says it's nutritionally more difficult to be vegan, I wouldn't listen to or trust a word he's saying here. He clearly doesn't know how to manage his own nutrition. He doesn't know. So everything he's talking about here about nutrition, I mean, about himself, I mean, about how he had to start eating animals, you got to understand he's in a position where he's vulnerable, and he's not basing this on studies. The stuff he said about a plant-based diet was based on studies and data. This is based on his own opinion. You can dismiss it outright based on the other information we've been given, because he's clearly not of sound mind at this point.
I found that in practice, despite obviously having a lot invested in this, I wasn't able to make it work. And so I ended up experiencing a lot of the typical symptoms that you hear in these kinds of videos. So these are the typical things that you hear about. I was experiencing fatigue, but at the same time as insomnia. I just wasn't sleeping properly. I was experiencing brain fog. I was unable to properly focus. I was feeling physically weak. But I was also experiencing other commonly reported symptoms. I was having, you know, a lot of bloating and a lot of gas, like a lot of gas. I was experiencing joint pain. I was experiencing all kinds of things that I found it very difficult to know what was being caused by my diet. And crucially, as I say, this isn't something that's caused by veganism. It's not caused by a vegan diet. It would have been caused, if it was caused by my diet, by the way that I was doing this vegan diet. But
look, if you're skipping meals because you can't stop shitting yourself, because you have extreme IBS flare-ups that are getting worse as you get older, I think he said that he feels that they're getting worse as he gets older, then it's probably safe to assume that you're not eating enough in general, and probably even starving yourself to the point of potentially malnutrition, which can lead to lots of problems, like all the problems he's just said. These are all symptoms of somebody not eating enough. Not necessarily that they're eating a plant-based diet, it's just not eating enough. You need to treat the IBS, not start eating meat. You're not treating the IBS. You've got to see a doctor. You've got to start a food diary. You've got to start taking medication maybe to get the flare-ups under control. I mean, these are steps that when people have such extreme flare-ups as Alex is having, you've got to get medical intervention here. You can't continue like this. You're going to end up really hurting yourself. This IBS is, as I've said a few times, it's incredibly common, and it does seem to get worse as you get older. It develops in sometimes a young age, but seems to get like go up, down, and it can get quite bad as you get older. And so, you know, without any evidence that it was the plant, that he's not putting it on the plant-based diet, but without any evidence that it was the plant-based diet, this is just IBS and IBS flare-ups and him not eating properly. And when he does eat some things, it's not being absorbed properly because he can't stop shitting himself. Like, these are all symptoms of that. He's not managing his health in a healthy way. He's not managing his condition in a healthy way. And now his solution is, well, I'm just going to stab animals in the throat and eat them again. It's not a solution to the problem he's having. It's an example of extremely poor decision making, and this tends to happen to people, especially to ex-vegans, when they have a health problem. They blame it on the plant-based diet, and they start to go down these roads. And guys, apologies, I'm just realizing I didn't get back to you guys on the super chats. Let me just quickly catch up. I got carried away in the video. Where are we up to? Dweller. The supply and demand, bro, nothing else. Sorry, that was in regards to him saying an individual boycott isn't valuable. Yep. Good shout, thank you. Do you want to be killed in a farm or a 5-star hotel? Good point about the, factory farming versus like organic, blah, blah, blah. Worse equals convenience. That's his argument. Yep, agreed. Vegan always forever. Thank you for the tip. Says, I used to have really bad IBS. I've been vegan for 8 years, and after a year after going vegan, my IBS started to get better. And about 3 years after going vegan, I was going once in the morning, and I still do. I used to go between 6 to 9 times a day. That's amazing, vegan always and forever. So really, it's really hard to get that stuff under wraps, to get that shit in control. So literally, so glad you did. Dweller says, vegan gains, you have to see his reaction. I've gone through all that shit he's talking about and more, and I'm a complete addict. I eat nothing but junk food, and half the time only eat one meal right before bed, and yet I can still survive not hurting animals. Fair enough, man. That's good for you. Try and eat a bit healthier though, bro. Don't punish yourself. Ulf says, Daily Does an app by Dr. Gregor is awesome. Just think about iodine and maybe take some algae oil, so easy to get all the nutrients. I've heard a lot about that app. Cool. Thank you. And Dweller says, everything he's talking about nutrition is, finished sentence, dog shit. Yeah, seems so. Yeah, thank you guys for all the tips. Keep them coming, and I'll do better to catch them as they come in this time, all right? I had the video over your tips. That's why I didn't see them, but it's changed now. So keep the tips coming, and I'll get to them as they come this time, all right? I promise. Thank you to everybody who sent them through so far. So, yeah, so to summarize at this point, he's not dealing with his IBS properly, and surprise, surprise, it's causing him problems, and he's blaming it. Well, he's not claiming he's not blaming it on the plant-based diet, but he's no longer eating a plant-based diet because of this, so he is blaming it on the plant-based diet.
Also, there's something that I don't want to mention it, but I want to mention it in this context, which is that there have been various things that have happened in my personal life that at points have led to something of a mental health crisis. I don't really know what to say here, because I'm sorry, but I'm just not going to give you the details about that. I haven't given the details about that to my closest friends and family, so I'm certainly not going to talk about it on camera in detail, except for the fact that I've been experiencing something like it. And again, crucially, I'm not trying to say that this was caused by veganism, but look, there were days when I would be eating 0 calories, and periods where daily I'd maybe be eating between like 0 and 700 calories. And it gets to a point where you think, look, I'm just going to have to get myself out of this hole somehow. And one of the most important first steps is physical health. But being essentially unable to eat.
So honestly, I'm sorry that he's going through this stuff, like genuinely, all right? I mean, it's never to combine the physical stuff with the mental stuff. He's got all these physical health problems and mental health problems, and it's all just fucking him. Yes, it's horrible, and the mental health feeds into the physical health, and it goes round and around, and it can get worse and worse and worse. I get that, all right? I get that, but dude was starving himself starving himself of calories and nutrients because of IBS and the mental health issues. And it's horrible. It's horrible. But look, I'm not here on YouTube to talk about that and necessarily be his therapist, all right? Like, Alex needs professional help, not from me. I'm here to talk about animals and veganism, so I need to make it clear that what he's saying is sad, and I want him to be okay. Of course, I want him to be all right. I don't want to be part of his problems, which is why I've said I'm trying to be direct but reasonable. But none of this has anything to do with veganism and the plant-based diet. Alex, you've got psychological and physical health issues that needs to be addressed, but they can be addressed while not putting animals in gas chambers, right? You do realize you can address all of these things while not paying people to stab animals in the throat. You can do that while not paying people to, throw baby chicks in fucking macerators. You can deal with all of this without that. It's not one or the other. And, he's in a moment right now where he doesn't think that's the case, but it is the case. It might not seem like it's possible, but it bloody is. And if you got some professional help, you'd see that, right? Sharon, thank you so much for the tip. Says, IBS, more like BS. Lots of love to you and Annie. Great chat. I'm going on the premise here that he's not lying, okay? Because it doesn't seem like he's lying. He's not done the whole bullshit that we usually see with this kind of thing, where you can see straight through them. I don't think he's lying. And even if he is lying, well, I'll just take him at his word and I'll respond as is. But yeah, if he is lying, then nothing I've said is wrong, right? I feel like I'm still making points that are useful to anybody else who's thinking about this kind of stuff, but we'll assume that he's not lying, all right? We'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But like I said at the beginning of this stream, okay, guys, you might say after he's just professed his mental health issues that I'm being too mean at this point. Somebody might clip this out and be like, hey, look at this horrible vegan. But look, you going through hell is not a good enough excuse to put others through a worse hell. It's not. You can't do that. All right? So I empathize with the issues. Everyone's got their own mental health issues to deal with, and they're all unique to them. But Alex is not special in his issues. And neither are you when you go through mental health issues. None of us are special. We all have our problems. None of them justify stabbing animals in the throat, okay?
I found that if I could stomach anything, I wanted it to be nutritionally dense. I wanted it to be something that was going to give me the best chance of improving my physical health. So look, I'm really not trying to make this some kind of sob story. I mean, it's impossible to do that, I guess, without giving you all of the details. It's really difficult to find a balance here between trying to talk about my experience whilst trying not to make it just sound like I'm making a bunch of excuses and trying to make you feel sorry for me.
I respect that, to be honest with you. I don't get the impression that he's trying to make it a sob story at this point. I don't get the impression that he's trying to get the sympathy vote at this point. He's been quite blunt about the things mostly. And I mean, he's not making a load of excuses, but his explanations are not logical. For somebody who's supposed to be so logical and rational, I'm not seeing a lot of either of those two things. Is the reasoning that he's giving, the explanations he's giving, don't stand up, in my opinion. But I wouldn't say at this point that he's whining or trying to get sympathy at this point. I don't see that. But he does, by the way. Spoiler alert, he does definitely go for that. He definitely does start playing the victim, okay, in this video. I don't think he's doing it at this point. And still, look, no mention of any professional guidance at this point. Why is he not seeing a doctor? Why not do everything you possibly can? See doctors, nutritionists, dietitians, gut specialists before deciding to pay people to stab animals in the throat again. Because it would have, again, why not come here? You're supposed to be a man of reason. You're supposed to be a man of logic. Why not come to this video with evidence, with blood tests, with things that reports you've got from doctors, because you're supposed to be the guy, you're supposed to be the evidence guy, dude. You're supposed to be one of the people, one of this atheist community that's like, provide the evidence for your claims. Otherwise, dismiss the claims, right? This is the kind of people that he's in the community with. This is how he got so well known. But here we're just getting a load of opinions, a load of emotional, personal stuff, which I'm trying to be respectful about and not, you know, outright dismiss. But where's the preparation with this whole thing? Why is the preparation not the same as when he does anti-theist videos or when he criticizes others, you know, logic and things like that? You know, so I guess part of me doesn't know whether to take him at his word. With that being said, part of me does think that this possibly could just be, it just seems like an emotional mess.
I must say that I'm not going to be able to give you all of the details of certainly the mental health stuff that I was talking about. I know that people are upset and people are angry, but the amount of vitriol that I've received...
So yeah, this is now what I predicted. And I predicted to you a couple of weeks ago when I made the video that he would use the worst arguments and the worst comments in the inboxes and DMs that he's ever had from all of this to create some kind of sob story. I predicted that, and let me tell you, that's exactly what he does right now. He goes on to list now some very horrible things people have said about him and to him, and he puts them up on the screen, and when he puts them up on the screen, I'm going to pause on them, and we're going to look at them, we're going to look, and I'll tell you if I think they're okay, or if I think they're bad, all right? And we'll go through each one of them. But let me just preface, I don't know what the fuck that word is. Let me just say, before we get to that, let me say this. I know Alex, right? I know the horrible stuff sticks more than the nice stuff. I know that. I know that personally as a fellow YouTuber, right? But this is the internet. People say shit, and they hide behind anonymous accounts to say whatever they want. But we accept this when we become public figures. I don't want it to happen, dude. I don't like it either. I don't like people calling me names. I get called all kinds of names by vegans. I don't like it either. I wish they'd stop too. But there's a simple way I can make it stop. And that's for me to go and get a fucking job in a cafe and stop making YouTube videos. Or, you know, but I don't. I stay here because I accept this is part of the game. It's part of what we do here as public figures. We have to deal with this, all right? And let's say one more thing here. The overwhelming bulk of comments he received and the public stuff that I saw on Twitter and stuff was either positive, neutral, or disappointed but supportive and understanding. The vast majority. When I was scrolling through, I saw the odd comment of someone losing their shit, but really not much, all right? But he's pulling out the nastiest comments here out of like 100,000, looking for the sympathy vote. And it's not a good look. I was really disappointed that he did this, but we're going to go through them one by one now. Ulf says, lots of people in the atheist community preach evidence and logic, but when it comes to veganism, they leave all that shit at the door. Well, he didn't say shit, but I put it in for you. Yeah, you're totally right, man. And he was one of the few people that wasn't doing that, but now he is doing that. He's just, you know, all the evidence providing stuff like that. It's gone out of the window now. He's just riffing and just going straight emotions up here. All right.
Seen people just obviously the constant DMing and the comments and people making memes and this kind of thing. And as I say, I understand that that's going to happen, but I'm just not going to let people start doing that about my personal medical history. I'm just not going to let people be memeing about that and making YouTube shorts about it. It's just not something that I'm willing to do. What I'm trying to do instead is get across the point that when I'm talking about the practicability of living a healthy plant-based diet.
Thank you, Lenora, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Keep it coming, guys. Let me know if there's anything you want to say.
I'm not talking about the idea that a plant-based diet isn't or can't be healthy. What I'm trying to get across is that even if in principle it can be healthy and it's perfectly possible to be healthy on a plant-based diet, for various practical reasons, that might be something that's unattainable. And to not recognize that, I think, is a mistake, and I think it's going to do harm.
Right. The problem you're making here, mate, is that you're saying it's unattainable, but that's based on your own perspective, which, let's be totally honest, guys, at this point, we cannot trust you and what you say about your own diet and your own health right now. You can't be trusted to tell the truth because you don't know the truth. Because so far, You haven't talked about seeing a doctor. You haven't at least said you've seen a doctor or a nutritionist. You haven't even said you've looked into treating IBS. You've not told us anything you found out or any research you've done. You have starved yourself on multiple occasions, it sounds like. You've been having intense psychological issues and mental health issues related to eating and other things in your life that have dramatically impacted your relationship with food. That sounds like it's developed a very, very toxic relationship with food. And now you're claiming the plant-based diet was unattainable for you based on your own conclusions after all of that. How can you sit here and say that? How can you not have the self-awareness to realize you don't know what you're talking about, dude? Like, you don't know what you're talking about whatsoever when it comes to this. You've got data, and you've referred to data in the beginning of the video about the plant-based diet. You knew what you were talking about then, but you clearly don't know what you're talking about here. And how to make this video, dude? You're clearly not in a mental place or a physical place to say what you're saying here about this diet being unattainable for you. What you needed to do is to go away and have introspection, seek medical advice, seek professional help before even thinking about making a post about this, before even thinking about recording a video, man. What are you doing? Think about what's happened here. This is crazy. It's crazy.
And on that point, I should talk about some of the reactions that I've received just from the statement that I put out. I mean, there have been some responses that have been perfectly fine, you know, disappointed or trying to understand or whatever. But, I mean, you don't need me to tell you that there's been a great deal of hatred and vitriol. You can see it.
Okay, so there's one there. I guess you guys can see that, right? So that says, "Go fuck yourself, you animal abusing cunt." I don't agree with that. I understand it. I understand the person. I understand why the person did it. I understand that it's an emotional time and you're upset by somebody who was defending animals who went to abusing them again. But I don't stand by DMing someone that. I don't think it's helpful. I don't think it even, if you want to shame them, right? Send them something that says, "I'm super disappointed in you. I can't believe you've done this to animals, etc., etc." But just to go fuck yourself, you animal abusing cunt. I personally, not for me. Okay, so I'm with him on that one. Not so good. But remember, all these messages that we're looking at now are a fraction of the thousands of messages that he got and thousands of comments that he got that were absolutely fine and totally reasonable. Okay, but we're going to look at these ones because Alex wants us to see these ones. Okay, and this is the crazy thing. And we're going to come back to that, by the way, because there's a massive inconsistency in what he says and what he does here. Remember this. He's showing us the worst of the worst right now, okay?
For yourself.
How dare you betray the animals, Alex? You'll get what you deserve. First part of that one, how dare you betray the animals, Alex? Good. Second part of that one, you'll get what you deserve. That's a threat. Don't threaten the guy. Just tell him what you think. I hope you change your mind. I hope you stop doing this to animals. I'm very disappointed in you. How dare you do this to animals? Don't threaten the guy.
Of course.
Okay. I made this post the other exactly because people like you make me lose faith in humanity. I used to admire you a lot and I was a huge fan. Where they say never meet your heroes, they'll definitely disappoint you. Karma will come, believe me. Bye. And oh, I forgot. And then the middle finger. Again, no need to threaten him. Yeah? The karma will come thing. It's a passive threat. The rest of it, fine. I don't care about the rest of it. The karma will come bit, possibly, a little bit threatening. The rest of it, you know, don't be a pussy. It's not really that bad.
What you can't see is the thing.
Okay, here's a huge one. Calling him a Candace Owens tier grifter LARPing as someone who's willing to do the bare fucking minimum and not pay for animal torture for minutes taste pleasure. But no, you're not even willing to do that. Your ideas on philosophy and lectures are near meaningless now. Two-faced, selfish. You're telling your audience killing animals okay. You're responsible for so much death and suffering. So far, this is fine. Insanely reckless of you. Don't be a weak cookie-cutter grifter boy. Be a man with an ounce of moral coherence. Look, that's not an example of a bad comment, Alex. That's just somebody straight up telling you what the truth. That's just all true. That's all that's true. It might be angry with some caps and stuff, but that is a completely true comment, and I don't see any problem with it.
Things that people are messaging.
You can literally live off nothing but potatoes, but you're too much of a fucking retard to know how to cook tofu, eat a few veggies, and take a multivitamin. Maybe your parents should get custody over you since you clearly don't know how to feed yourself. That sounds like it came straight from Vegan Gains, to be honest. I think he said something along those lines. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is with the word retard is pretty charged these days, but switch it out for stupid, but you're too fucking stupid to know how to cook tofu, and it's not really that bad, is it? I mean, and that maybe your parents should get custody over you. I mean, that's clearly just joking, right? I mean, it's not a nice comment, don't get me wrong, but basically all this guy's saying is that you're too stupid to know how to cook and take a vitamin, and maybe your parents should take you back in again. It's not that bad, man.
Me privately.
I thought so highly of you. I'm disgusted. I hope the soul of every animal you harm comes back to haunt you when you realize the gravity of what you're doing. Shame on you for being a superficial, pretentious cop-out. Nothing wrong with that comment. Look, man, if this is the worst you could put up on the screen, dude, a couple of these aren't even bad.
Maybe I can show.
This is what the animals would say if they could speak. They would tell him the sooner he fucking offs himself, the better. That's a disgusting comment. You're a fucking piece of shit if you said that. That's a horrible comment. Never, guys, no matter how pissed off you get, no matter how bad you think someone is, never tell them they should off themselves. What's wrong with you? Okay, it's ridiculous. Now, that's just like completely crossing every line in the book. There's so many ways to insult someone. There's so many ways to give someone shit and let them have a piece of your mind without telling them they should off themselves. Come on, seriously.
Show some examples on this.
You're not increasingly doubtful. You're a fucking loser who can't change his food habits. Agree. Like, Alex, it's not that bad, mate. Honestly, that's a reasonable comment.
Screen.
You're murderous, animal-abusing scum. You were never vegan. It was obvious from the start. You can get all your nutrition from eating plants. We're herbivores. I really don't. Calling you an animal-abusing scumbag is accurate. You are that at this point, dude. I don't disagree with that. If you disagree with that, then stop abusing animals, right? Anyone who abuses animals is a scumbag by definition. You're a knob and your excuses are pathetic. Grow up. I don't see a problem with that. I mean, obviously, I'm not a big fan of insulting someone, but these are minor. I mean, come on. Just childish insults. It's not the end of the world. I wonder what it feels like to betray billions of enslaved, suffering beings in one swift move. I can only imagine the feeling of overwhelming shame would be at the top of the list. Nothing wrong with that comment. Dude, is this the worst you got?
It's been...
May this Alex get the reality of cancer and any other disease associated with flesh eating. I know that sounds harsh, but quite frankly, tired of these ex-vegans. So tired. Kathleen, sorry, but that's on par with the off yourself comment. Don't wish fucking cancer on people, guys. Jesus Christ. Come on, seriously. There's just so many words in the English language you could use to shit on someone. Why go there? Why wish these things on people? It's horrible. Even if you think they deserve it, why go publicly and say those things? Like, it's just mad. It's not going to achieve anything apart from making you look like a horrible person and giving him ammunition to come here and cry on camera. So just, come on, seriously.
It's been relentless, and sometimes from quite established figures, blue tick vegan advocates.
So this is from a blue tick on Instagram. You know all these vegans you could have reached out to who are thriving and have been for years. You know it's possible. Even for you, you're not special. No wonder your debate with Michaela was pathetic. Thought you were smarter than this. You aren't. You're fucking retarded. Great job you're doing here. Blood is on your hands. Spare us your nonsense reasoning. You're just a fucking bitch. Again, the word retarded is loaded these days. Just switch it out for stupid and it's not a problem, is it? I thought you were smarter. You're not. You're fucking stupid. That message is not even that bad. And calling him a bitch, I mean... yeah, he was a bitch with Michaela Peterson. I think we can all acknowledge he was acting like a bitch there. So, again, this is not the worst comment in the world. I think, just want to reiterate one more time, the retarded comment is like, yeah, that's loaded these days. Apparently, it's like, that's now the new word. It's like, oh my God, it's like the N word, but for ableism, right? And I get that's been made that, but it just means stupid. So switch it out for dumb or stupid, and this message isn't even that bad, right? Is it? So,
sending me messages saying that I'm, quote, fucking retarded, as well as I saw that vegan teacher said that if we were living in a time where it was still legal, she'd be calling for my public hanging.
Yeah, that's fucking wild, by the way, that comment. Where's it gone?
Said that if you'll forgive...
fuck's sake, bring it back up.
Said that if
vegan teacher left a comment, said, Alex waved a huge red flag on Peterson's podcast. The selfish narcissism and betrayal towards us and the animals is unforgivable. If we were in older times, I would be calling for a public hanging. What the fuck is wrong with people? I just don't get it. I mean, I just don't get why you could say that in DMs with your friends, maybe make a joke about it. You could, I don't know, why would you leave that comment? The first part, Alex waved a huge red flag on Peterson's podcast. All good, 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 good. Up until the last sentence, if we were in all the times, why would you finish it with that comment? Why would you call for a public hanging of somebody? I just don't get it, guys. Like, I don't know. I know some of you might like this, and I suppose it is, I mean, I suppose if she's meant it as like a joke, but it doesn't come across like a joke to me, to be honest with you. Like, I don't find it particularly funny. Like, if people were saying this about me, I wouldn't be happy. And maybe that's a perspective we need to think about here. That some people think that vegans are evil, right? They're wrong, but they think we're evil. And they say stuff about me that I've seen stuff, and it's not, you know, it's not, I don't like that shit being said about me. I've had vegans who think I'm evil too, and they say this kind of shit about me. And what, should we always assume that it's just a joke or laugh it off or something like that, dude? This is someone on YouTube who, someone from our community is saying that she would call for him to be hung. It's just fucking insane and wild that someone's going to say that. There's many words in the English language, like I said, guys. And I see some of you in the chat are trying to, like, I don't know, thinking this is okay. That's fucking wild. Like, thinking something like that is okay is exactly why people call us all this shit. You think that, like, guys, let's just pause for a second. Do you think that as a community of people that is trying to influence the world to make a better world for animals, do you think that kind of stuff is helping or hindering? I think he should be hung for that. When the majority of people already do the stuff that we're talking about hanging him for, do you think that's convincing anyone to do anything other than call you a violent fucking nutcase? No, right? What about the other stuff that we saw there? People wishing that he would off himself or wishing that he would get cancer. What do you think this does? We can have emotions and we can express ourselves and we can be pissed off. And I'm pissed off with him. But resorting to that, I don't see how anyone thinks it helps. If you've got emotion inside of you, if you're pissed off, go to the gym, go punch a go punch a bag, right? Go for a run. Call your friend up and shout down the phone. But I mean, we've got to conduct ourselves in a way that actually allows us to have the impact on the world we want to have. And sometimes that line is pretty thin, right? Sometimes we cross the line and we don't know. I'm sure I've crossed the line many times, and I'm sure I will more. But I mean, this is a pretty fucking simple thing, isn't it? To not tell people to go off themselves, or not tell people you hope they get cancer, or not tell people that if we were in a different time, you'd hang them. I feel like these are pretty obvious things to not go for, guys. So Cliff Grant says, what a train wreck. More bold-ass assertions with zero evidence, playing the victim, adopting an anti-science stance when it comes to nutrition, and an attempt to shift focus by using a few random comments. Alex now lost all credibility. I agree. And that's the important part of this, that these comments he's using are a selection taken from about 100,000 comments that were not like this, all right? I'm focusing in on them because they're important to focus in on, because he's used them in his bloody video, right? And we need to acknowledge them. We need to have a look at them. But these are not the most common points that were made. Mostly people were pretty reasonable, and they didn't say shit like that. Obviously, most people didn't say shit like that, because most people wouldn't ever wish those things on other people, publicly at least.
We were living in a time where it was still legal. She'd be calling for my public hanging. You'll forgive me if I'm not going to give you the details, certainly not of my mental health experiences, when I know that there are people out there who are just waiting to essentially make content out of this. I've already seen people just making all kinds of videos and memes. I've been doing YouTube a long time. Like, I built up a thick skin to this kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to make memes of you, and they're going to make content out of you and take what you're saying here and respond to it like we are, or make reaction videos and stuff like that, because you were a huge influence. He was a huge influence for vegans, right? And for people to go vegan and for people to become activists. And this is what he was doing. So yeah, when he does a U-turn and all of a sudden is doing the things that he said that people shouldn't do for all these ethical reasons, yeah, people are here for the animals, mate. So we're going to make content debunking, responding, reacting, whatever, showing you up at times because you're inconsistent and calling you out. It's going to happen. That's just life, dude. And I don't hate this guy, by the way. And I don't know why anyone, if you don't know him, I don't know why you would hate him. You can criticize him, and I am criticizing him, and you can say he's full of shit, and I am saying he's full of shit. But, you know, I doubt many people out there have genuine, you know, hatred for the guy. They're talking about you because they're debunking your bullshit. They don't like you. They don't like what you're saying. They think that you're chatting shit. That's why they're making content. It's not about hate. It's not like everyone's joined together and they want, you know, there's a couple of comments back there, but most people are not hoping you die, man. You know, don't get that in your head right now. Don't get it twisted. We're calling out your bullshit.
I can deal with mean comments, but I've had a lot of people reaching out to me to check that I'm okay. You know, people seeing the responses and messaging me to be like, man, like, are you doing all right? I mean, this looks horrendous. And a lot of it has been horrendous. But as I say, I can deal with it. The thing that I want people to be careful of here is, like, how is this going to look to other people? Like, I still want to encourage people to try veganism. I still want to encourage people to join the movement against animal suffering, against factory farming. But imagine somebody's on the fence about becoming a vegan. You know, they're not really sure whether it's going to be for them or not. And then they see what's happened here. Right? They see somebody who says, look, this wasn't working for me for various reasons, and I need to let you know about that. And seeing this kind of response, seeing this kind of this hatred and unforgiving vitriol, what is that person going to think? They're going to think, I obviously don't want a part of this, because is that going to be me if I then end up changing my mind? I understand the anger, I understand the disappointment, but believe me, it's not a good look. And
so here's the point, right? If you really cared about what he just said, about, oh, but if people see this, it will turn them off, right? Then, well, what do you think okay, first off, right, if we're talking about what turns people off going vegan, right, that's what he's talking about here. What will make people less likely to listen to us? There's a number of things that will make people less likely to listen to a vegan making a comment or a message about something, right? One of the things that would make people less likely to listen would be Cosmic Skeptic's community post, where he was vaguely referring to not eating animals, to eating animals again, and saying he doesn't believe in boycotts anymore, leaving it all very vague and leaving lots of people to see his videos and go, haha, even this guy couldn't do it, therefore it's unhealthy. So that's one thing you could do if you want to turn people off going vegan. Another thing you could do, Alex, mate, is make this fucking video right here, the video you're making right now, where you talk about insomnia, where you talk about fatigue, you talked about brain fog, you talked about bloatedness and gas, right? And you think that's not going to turn people off, mate? You could argue back with me and say, well, I didn't say the plant-based diet caused those issues. I said that it was the IBS and blah blah. Do you think most people are that nuanced to understand that? Or do you think most people who watch your video are just going to go, veganism equals unhealthy, veganism equals sickness? So if you care about how veganism is put across, if you care about the impact of public engaging with the public, you wouldn't have done this, mate. And one more thing to point out, the massive hypocrisy of this point about how the impact of the public presentation of vegans, etc. And okay, then you have picked out these messages here, the worst of the worst you could have found out of thousands and thousands of messages and DMs and comments you probably had that were not like that were actually positive, supportive, vegans who were saying, what can I do to help you? Apparently, I just read in the chat, there's a doctor reached out to you and offered you to give you, to help, to pay, to give you stuff for free or give you treatments for free or pay or whatever. So if you really wanted a good image for vegans, why are you not showing those comments then? If that's what's the paramount for you, mate, if that's the number one priority for you, hey, look, I just care about the movement, okay? What people calling me out and stuff and these horrible comments I've had, wouldn't you want to bury them then? If you care so much, wouldn't you want to bury those comments and instead talk about all the positivity and all these amazing people who reached out to you to try and help you and get you back on track? No. Because the reason you didn't do that is because you're looking for that sob story. You wanted the empathy because you've already made that decision that you're not going to continue this way. It's already done. You've made the decision. You like the life that you've got when you're eating animal products. You don't like the life without them. You've got all your personal issues, and you've made the decision. You're not being logical. That's what's going on here. This is pure emotion here. There's no logic here whatsoever. There's no reasonable takes here at all. You know, the damage that he's done here with this turn of events is just far worse than any mean vegan could ever do. So, you know, this mean vegans in the comment section being bad for veganism is bullshit compared to what he's done. It's ridiculous. And there's one more time, amplifying them. You think amplifying these people's comments helps? Right? It's so hypocritical and so inconsistent with what he's saying. What he's doing and what he's saying is there's a huge fucking disconnect here.
A lot of people have said, look, you know, it's so much worse because you've got this platform. But, you know, if you're commenting this kind of stuff underneath that platform, all of these thousands of people are going to see your comments too. So, of course, there are still going to be people who think that this is inadequate. If that's because I haven't really gone into any philosophy, I guess I've decided that it's best to separate out these two things because I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to make some case against veganism or that I'm trying to just rationalize the problems that I've been having.
Yeah, and if you didn't want to do that then, if you didn't want to start looking like you're trying to rationalize the problems you've been having, if you didn't want to look like that, you didn't want to do that, then you shouldn't have put in the community tab post that you were starting to doubt the efficacy of an individual boycott, I believe it was that you said. Then, yeah, why put that in there then? I mean, if you don't believe that, why put it in there? Like, why? You've got 500,000 subs, man. You've had these massively influential videos, and you influence people all over the world. How are you not self-aware of the fact that you have so much responsibility on your shoulders to not fuck up as badly as you fucked up? The thing that he should have done, if you wanted to avoid shitting on vegans, shitting on animal rights, shitting on everybody who's ever supported you, and what was it you said here? Not wanting to try to rationalize the problems, etc., etc., etc. The thing you should have done is not done nothing. Deal with your personal shit off camera, and then come to the camera when you've got solid answers, solid reasoning, some tests maybe, some medical advice, some professionals to come on camera with you maybe. I'm sure there are people out there, doctors, who are equipped, who could have come on camera and had the chat with you and got through all the stuff. There's so much you could have done differently. You know, and it's easy for me to say that as someone who is currently of sound mind, you know, and Alex clearly isn't, and I get that. But I mean, shit, if you're losing your mind to the point, if we believe what he's saying about having the mental health issues, YouTube is not the place to be. Do not turn the camera on, dude, if you're having mental health issues, unless you're going to talk about something that's very objective and easy, factual stuff like that. Like you're going to talk about some atheist stuff or whatever, then yeah, that'll be easy. But to give a personal rendition of stuff going on in your life when you're not of sound mind, it's not going to go well, and this hasn't gone well. Mag says, just wanted to bring this up. Thank you for the tip. It's really difficult to get help when you're a vegan with a eating disorder. Finding a plant-based dietitian is easy, but most mental health professionals are prejudiced against all elimination diets unless it's an allergy. Yeah, that's fair enough. I've not heard him say anything about any of that though so far. So, I mean, you would have said it if he'd been to see a professional and they told him stuff like that, and then it would have mentioned it, wouldn't he? But it's not. This is all coming from him, it seems, so far. But thank you for the tip and the point as well.
Really wanted to do is just expand on my post and say, look, this is the experience that I've had. It's not that I think that you can't get all the nutrients you need from plant-based sources, as some people have assumed, and quite understandably, that I meant. That's not what I meant. I was talking about the practicability of maintaining such a diet, and that you shouldn't come to me for nutritional advice. I'm just telling you what's happened here, because it's obviously something that I have to address. But I'm not trying to offer you some kind of advice here.
Listen, man, I said this earlier as well. If you're not trying to offer advice, and people shouldn't take you seriously on what you're saying about your diet, right? Nutrition and health. Why are you making this video? Why did you make the community post? Why did people need to know about all these things that you don't know enough about to talk about? Do you follow here? Like, you know you got influence. You know you influence people to do or not do things because people look up to you. You got 500,000 subs. People respect you. So then why even do this in the first place? Why not wait, deal with the health issues, get professional help, handle the issues? Imagine you could have come to YouTube with all that advice from these professionals who helped you deal with your issues. You could have revealed how you had the problems, and then you could tell people how to beat the problems without putting animals in gas chambers and stabbing them in the throat and all this horrible shit. You could have taught people how to come back from this problem that you had, and it would have been this incredible journey of you suffering to getting the help, and then it could have, you know, all this, it could have been amazing. But instead, he jumped the gun and made these really ill-informed posts and now video, and it's like, yeah, I just don't get it. The last place I would do, but guys, not just me, any of you out there who are having any kind of issues that you're not sure about, that you've not thought about, that you've not got help with, the last place you want to go is fucking YouTube. The last place you want to go is social media. Get off social media until you've fixed your shit. You know? I don't know what the hell that was that came on screen just now. Says Vegan Potterhead says, what were his reasons? I don't want to watch the video. Okay, guys, you can explain in the chat. Suasoon has tipped $10. Thank you, Vegan Potterhead, by the way. Suasoon tipped $10. Thank you, mate. Says, sounds like he has SIBO. I recommend you speak to Goji Man on YouTube since he's an expert on fixing SIBO. He fixed mine. Yeah, that's absolutely something he could do as well. We don't know what he's got until he gets some bloody diagnosis and actually sees some medical professionals. But Alex definitely knows about Goji Man. Like, he's not an idiot. He knows Goji Man. He knows Earthling Ed. He knows Joey. He knows the vegan community on YouTube. It's not like you're not teaching him something he doesn't know when you mention Goji Man Suasoon. So he's chosen to not do that. So, you know, that's the end of that, isn't it? He's chosen to go the way that he's going now, as opposed to going that way.
One thing that I said at the end of the statement that I put out was that I was sorry, especially to people who'd become vegan activists or advocates.
Oh, did I miss a tip? From Gorick. Let me go look. Aha. Thank you, Gorick, for the tip. I'm sorry I missed your tip there, mate. Says, calling for suicide or wishing death on someone is vile and disgusting and only shows how mentally undeveloped the commenters are. That vegan teacher is a disgrace for spouting nonsense like that. Alex is a high IQ and is dumb as bread, lol. Yeah. So you've expressed there about the line to draw in the sand about the kind of vile, disgusting things to say in public, but then you followed up with a high IQ and is dumb as bread. And that's funny because it's, you know, these are kind of, as I said, there's so many words and so many clever words you can use to insult someone if you're going to go that way. But I agree with you. It's vile. The things that we saw earlier were vile and disgusting, but we're a minority, a massive minority of the comments. And he knows this. Alex knows this. Everybody knows they're a massive minority. But unfortunately, the impact of his video is that people are going to think that's the majority of vegans. They're going to think that's what vegans do now. And he knows this. He knows that this is what it's gonna do, you know? It's crazy.
On my account, and a lot of people misunderstood that. I'm not sorry that I've turned people vegan. I'm not sorry that I've made people advocate for this cause. I'm just trying to say that I'm sorry to them for the disappointment that they might and do feel because of what I'm doing here. I'm not sorry that they've become vegan activists. So I do, of course, still want to see the end of factory farming, and I hope that vegans don't see me as their enemy on this front. Like, I'm hoping we can still work together in our advocacy here. But as I say, I understand the reactions that I've been receiving, and I find it difficult to predict how those reactions will evolve or change based on this video, but thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. I didn't really know how to begin the video. I don't really know how to end it. I can only say thanks for listening. Thanks for at least trying to understand. And yeah, hopefully now we can get back to producing regular, interesting content that if you still stick with me in this channel, you'll continue to enjoy. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next one.
So the point about being enemies, it's not like, no, he's not an enemy. He's not anti-vegan. He's not like the same as like meat eaters, a general person in the street who's not vegan. They're not your enemy. They're somebody to speak to and to try to convince and try to show, try to get them to stop hurting animals, right? At present, Alex is not an enemy of vegans. He is lost. He's emotional. He's making some terrible mistakes, some terrible decisions because he's having mental health issues. He's not going to the places he needs to go. He's not seeing the people he needs to see. He's not speaking to the people he needs to speak to, all right? And so I don't label him as an enemy. I label him as a very troubled person who is spouting shit on the internet, and that's bad. Like, it is really bad what he's doing. There's no doubting that whatsoever. And all we've got to hope at this point, with the massive influence he has, is that basically he stops talking about all this until he's dealt with his shit. And when I say dealt with his shit, I mean as in he seeks help from plant-based specialists, from people who got his back, plant-based doctors, Earthling Head, who's apparently friends with. These people have his back. They have his best interests in mind, but they are animal-focused people. He needs to go work with these people and get his shit together. And only then do I hope that he then comes back and does a video and explains everything. And then, you know, he talks about it in positive light again, in the way it should be spoken about. If that's what he does, he's not an enemy of vegans. He's not an enemy he's an enemy of animals for sure while he's doing this. But he's not an enemy of vegans the same way your average person on the street isn't an enemy of vegans. If you start spouting anti-vegan bullshit, which this video was close to, by the way, but he didn't. He did specifically say a lot of times the plant-based diet is sufficient, the plant-based diet is fine. He made some silly excuses, but it wasn't quite to the point where I would say anti-vegan, right? So no, he's not an enemy to me, but he needs to sort his life out big time, because this was really, really disappointing, like next level. What's not also been said here, guys, is what is he actually eating to get that easy nutrition? He talked about it's easier to get nutrition, stuff like that, right? So what then? What are you eating then? He didn't talk about that. If it were ready, if he's now going to be going and getting ready-made meals, if that's what he means by easier, then if they're ready-made meals that are animal-based ready-made meals, then he's going to have health problems that are going to be a lot worse than the IBS that he's got. Because those are shit, a lot of these ready meals that are with meat and dairy, and they can be really bad for you. So if that's what he's doing, it's not only is it obviously bad for animals and unethical, but he'll be fucking up his health in ways that are irreversible, potentially. You know, put it this way, I'll take IBS symptoms over heart disease any day. So I don't know, is that what's going on? Right? So who knows about that? He clearly doesn't know what he's doing, so that could be the case. Lee, thank you for the super chat, mate. It says, can you put his live sub count up, please? Because he should be currently losing even more subs after this. I don't even know how to do that, man, to get a live sub count up, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. Maybe. Thanks for the tip. If somebody knows how to do it, maybe put it in the chat and I'll have a look. But yeah, you know, if that's what he's doing, more convenience foods, then he'll have issues. And overall, what it seems to me is like he's doing this. I have health issues, so it must be the plant-based diet thing, right? That's kind of what's going on here. People rush to blame the plant-based diet because it's new to them. You eat a certain way your whole life. From a child, you're told things, and then you change one of those things that's pretty fundamental to everything that you do. And all of a sudden, if anything goes wrong, you blame it on that thing that you changed. It must be that. It must be that. So I think that's what's going on here as well. And there's more to that as well. The psychological stuff is important. Gorik, thank you so much for the tip, mate. Says, how does Alex not understand that exploiting one single animal leads to the exploitation of billions of animals and therefore factory farming? My money is on convenience, and he is trying to convince himself intellectually that that's a good justification. Well, we've seen that he's not mentally stable. So yeah, it's not based on logic here that's going on here. He's admitted that his mental problems are bad and stuff, you know? So yeah, on that point, he talked about his mental health issues here, about whatever he was going through, which we can assume was probably some combination of depression, anxiety. You know, those are the most common things that people go through, and the way he was speaking sounds like that's probably what he was going through, right? And in previous live streams, I've mentioned that how a lot of people have depression, they have anxiety. It's a very common thing, and it can be quite serious. And if there's one thing that we all know for sure, if you're feeling down, in a bad mood, okay, whether you're in a bad mood or whether you're actually depressed or, you know, you have anxiety or whatever, we all agree that something that makes you feel a lot better is comfort foods that you grew up with. We go to comfort foods. We go to the things that we know that make us feel warm and fuzzy and good, and things that taste good, fatty things. There's a lot of things that we like to make ourselves feel better with that we like, right? And we as vegans, we found ways around that, right? We found ways, we veganized the comfort foods because when we feel bad, oh, I want the food I feel good with, so we veganize it because we know no matter how bad we feel and how much we crave that comfort food to make us feel better mentally, it's not worth putting an animal in a slaughterhouse. We know that, right? So we veganize the comfort foods. But some people aren't mentally strong enough to do that, so they give in. And they make a load of excuses to eat animal products. But basically, the only excuse that they if they were honest, it would just be, I feel better, I grew up eating them, so I want to eat them, and that's it. And that's not a good enough reason to stab an animal in the neck, right? It's not. That's emotion taking over and you know, your selfishness taking over, and it's something you got to combat. We've got to do better with that. That's something that we, like I said, when the shit hits the fan, you'll find out who the real vegans are, because life isn't easy. Life isn't just smooth sailing. When the shit hits the fan, are you really a good person? Are you really an ethical person when the shit hits the fan? Well, the answer is no for quite a lot of people, it seems, of these ex-vegans online, because that's basically what it is. It's that they're selfish, and when push comes to shove, they put themselves before animals. And it's really sad. It's a really sad thing that people do that. But it happens, and it seems to be the case here. Now, look, I empathize with him. You know, I empathize with Alex. As I said earlier on, I alluded to that I'd had some of these symptoms as well that he was talking about. I've been on and off with IBS for quite a while. It's very common, like I said. People have Crohn's, people have IBS, mostly non-vegans. It's not a vegan thing. It's just a very, very common thing. And sometimes it can be really shitty. And the pun is intended there. It can be a very shitty thing to deal with. And as like I said, Mr. Beast is the most famous person I know of that has Crohn's. There's Lifting Vegan Logic, who we spoke about earlier with Crohn's. We all know, anyone who's been through any of these symptoms, we know how bad it can get. We know how it feels, and it's not good. But look at Danny. Look at Lifting. I mean, Alex doesn't go to the gym, I don't think. Look at Danny, Lifting Vegan Logic. He's a personal trainer. Guy's full of muscles. I'm going to the gym multiple times a week right now, and also playing American football at the weekends. So it can be managed. You don't need... meat isn't the answer, okay? Just going back to killing animals isn't the answer. You can manage without that. It's important. So there's empathy. There's empathy from me here. And there's understanding, but it's not justification. There's no justification here. I can give you empathy. I can understand you, but I will not allow this to be a justification. It's not a justification for what you for to do this to animals. It's just not. Ulf, thank you so much for the tip, mate. Says, first of all, he said, thanks to Race Leaver for always giving me a laugh. Yeah, Race Leaver is funny. And also, mental health problems can really feel like physical problems too. Get fatigue, no energy, etc. You can feel really sick. Even tough nutrition and exercise even though nutrition and exercise is on point. Yes, it can be. It can be. Absolutely. These things can cause problems, I know. But look, I mean, I find nutrition easier from animals. Whether easier means it's better, you know, easier on my mental health, or easier on my lifestyle makes it easier, makes it more convenient. None of this is a good enough reason to do what is happening to animals. Your shit that you're going through is not more important than their shit that they're going through. You can't hurt them to make yourself feel better. Or you can, but you're a piece of shit if you do it. Okay? It's that simple, guys. And with Alex here, he's making decisions, very poor decisions. He's starving himself. He's talking about he's clearly not sound of mind right now. Lack of professional input. So the takeaway of all of this is that he needs to seek help from professionals, not just start eating animals again and make fucking YouTube videos about it. Come on. Come on. If there's any place in the world to not go when you have mental health issues, it's YouTube. Stay off Instagram, Twitter, social media. Get away from all of it. Seek professional help and sort your shit out. That's what you got to do. If you're ever going through anything like this, guys, that's what you got to do. That's advice to all of you. If you're ever feeling like he's feeling with these horrible things happening in your personal life, with some health issues that are linked with your mental health issues, the first thing you can do is turn off the computer. That's it. Get away from it. It's not going to help you. Don't make a bloody video about it. Sort your shit out. Come back and make a video. Sort your shit out first, guys. Perrin Barnes says he just wants the convenience of being able to grab any product off a supermarket shelf blindfolded and being able to eat it. That is what this is about. You are right. Well, yeah, because of the stuff he's going through, that's what he's going through right now. Like it's led him to the point where he's trying to justify himself this very easy, convenient way of life where you can just grab anything and eat anything and not have to worry about, whether an animal was tortured and killed for it. But that's not logical, and it's sick. It's a sick thing to do. It's a horrible way to live. That's what we're trying to convince people to stop doing, and it's what he was trying to convince people to stop doing. Guys. So there you go. What do you think about the video today? Some of you wanted blood, it seemed. Some of you wanted to go for the throat. But I think I think we went pretty direct here. I think we said what we needed to say. I think we were reasonable, but we were firm, and we made sure that we, called things out that needed to be called out, right? And one thing that I saw a couple of you mentioned in the comments, actually, I wanted to get back to, I missed it earlier, was that correctly so, you guys observed, he didn't talk about animals once. Not once. And I found that to be pretty telling as to the state that he's in right now. So it's possible that he didn't want to talk about animals because he felt so guilty. That could be it. Or it could be something more nefarious, that he knew that he would have no leg to stand on, so he didn't want to bring animals up. He kind of alluded to factory farming a couple of times, but he didn't really get into the thick of it, did he? The whole video was more about him and his health, which is pretty much typical of most ex-vegan videos. They're just all about themselves. Let's have a look at the chat, see if there's anything I've missed. You guys, you want to look at his social blade? I mean, sure, we can look at his social blade if you want. I'm not sure why you guys really want to see it so much, but yeah, he'll be losing subs. But, yeah, he'll be losing a lot of subs. And if you just want to observe this, I mean, I'm not sure it's like completely relevant, but we can have a look. Not really. He lost, like, in the last 30 days, 1,000. He's not losing that many subs. I think the bulk of his subs were already gone when he first did his announcement, to be honest with you. I think most people, if they were going to unsub, they already did at that point. So, yeah, I don't think there's much going on there. There'll be more over the next couple of weeks, but I think most people already went. David, there's at least 2 vegans here in the live chat who don't even have working kitchens right now, and we still manage to stay vegan. There you fucking go. There you go. What are you going to say about that, It's wild, guys. It's wild. But, yeah. Oh, wow. So someone says they stayed subbed to him until this video. Right. Fair enough. Yeah, I get that. I mean, I guess maybe what were you hoping, that it wasn't going to be as bad as it was? Maybe you were hoping there was going to be some kind of logical result of this or something like that. Yeah. Crazy. Well, look, we said what we said. It is what it is, guys. What are we going to do about it? If you're going to comment under the video, please don't wish death on him or cancer on him or call for a public hanging. Please don't do any of that. I mean, it's up to you. I'm not trying to gatekeep vegan commenting. I'm not the guy who, I'm not the best shiny example of how to conduct myself online. I make mistakes, and sometimes I don't make mistakes. I mean, Jesus, I made a video pretending that Jeffrey Dahmer did nothing wrong. I've crossed. I don't think that's crossing a line, but to a lot of people it is. So look, don't come to me for rules about what to say and not to say online. But if you trust me, if you like me, if you listen to what I say, and you want to go with, you want to listen, you take what I say seriously and respect me. I don't recommend the death threats and the wishing cancer on people and the public hanging kind of comments. you can call him names and stuff. I'd say that's permissible by me, by my standards, like calling him a selfish scumbag or animal abuser scumbag, stuff like that. If you want to do that, go for that. I just keep in mind that he has been honest and said he's got these mental health issues. So, you possibly don't want to exacerbate those, but you can express your opinions and say, hey, I don't like what you're doing to animals. It's scummy. It's disgusting. It's horrible. It's, all that kind of stuff is important to express in the comment section, because it's important that we show that we don't agree. It's important that people are calling out that this is not okay, right? But, crossing lines into the other stuff we talked about, I mean, guys, two wrongs don't make a right, yeah? I saw a couple of you say, what? He's doing that to animals. Yeah, he is. But, I don't know, wishing that on him, why would you do that? If you don't want it to happen to animals, why would you want it to happen to him? It's not like, don't you want to say, I don't want this to happen to animals, and I also don't want it to happen to you, and I really want to help you to stop doing this. What can I do? Stop doing this. Like, go look at here. Like, I want to convince you. I don't think wishing what happens to animals on him is going to convince him to not do that to animals. I don't have any study to prove that, guys, but intuitively, not sure it's convincing. Also, not sure it's convincing for anybody watching either, and in the comment section who sees that. I'm not sure it's going to convince them either. Think about, what could you leave in a comment that would be convincing? What comment could you leave that you think people would look at and go, hey, that vegan's got a good point. I like what that vegan said here. This guy is chatting shit. Criticism, like real criticism is a good idea, Yeah, you want to check the comments? Let's have a look then. So it's got 453 dislikes. People don't really dislike videos anymore anyway, that's why. But we can go through the comments and see what kind of things people are saying. As someone who became a vegan, realized there are a problem with eating legumes, I can sympathize. Luckily, in my case, it's not as bad. Consists of mostly bloated, gassiness, tiredness, and some hives. Circumvents the issue using seitan instead. And hopefully he still experiments with vegan food. Find something that works for you. You need to avoid certain foods or groups like me, but still better than the alternative. Good point. And if it doesn't work, I understand your decision, even though I regret the situation is as it is, by no fault of your own, if I add. Truth is, life is not perfect, and we can do the best we can. That means different things to different people. I mean, the comment started well, but I don't know about the last bit. Like, you want to push him a little bit harder than that to be like, hey, you provided no evidence for any of your claims. We don't even know if what you're saying is true. You've not tried anything. Maybe you should go away and bloody try that before even thinking about stabbing an animal in the bloody neck. I've been vegan for nearly 40 years. That said, I appreciate your honesty and candor. You made a person I have a lot of respect for. I wish you all the best. Yeah, I don't know. No. It's nice that you're being respectful, but I just think it's too respectful. I mean, I would at least say that this isn't good. I mean, at least say, like, I don't like that you're doing this to animals. At least say something. Hey, Alex, I'm a vegan for over a year, partly because of your videos and talks on veganism. I have a great deal of respect for you, and I think I know you enough from watching your videos to know this wasn't just don't want to do it anymore decision. I'm a little sad that veganism is not a possible option for you anymore. What? Tim, he's not proven that. He's got no evidence of that whatsoever, that it's not an option for him anymore. He's just basing it on his feelings. Come on, don't give him that. But I do think that you did and still do a great service for veganism. Disagree with still do part. Clearly, he's advocating against it. Whether he wants to or not, he's now advocating against veganism. Mental health is important. Yep, it is. Someone who studies health, I can't understand how people don't grasp the mental health. Yep. Best wishes. Still enjoy your content. Yeah, fine. It's a little bit soft, but I mean, it's too soft. I mean, you shouldn't just take it as a given that he couldn't do it. It's not that he couldn't do it at all. It's that he chose to do what he's done for what the reasons he's done it, which are not good. Like, he's not provided any evidence that he even tried to fix the problems, right? Please don't let hate discourage you from speaking up for animals in the future. Wishing you all the best and thanks for the update. So Reese, I mean, I don't see that. It's not a particularly bad comment. I agree with that. I hope that he doesn't let any hate that he sees out there discourage him from going vegan and putting this right. Because that's what we want, isn't it, guys? We want him to go vegan and put this right. Yeah, so keep that in mind. when you are talking to him, when you are leaving comments. You want him to go vegan. So type like that, right? I would recommend anyway. As someone diagnosed with Crohn's, I totally empathize with you. It's rare to see a big YouTuber discuss the gut issues. Yep, fine. Probably not a vegan, but whatever. It's a general comment. I was over the moon when you started your vegan journey. You've done so much to progress the movement. Found your videos insightful. I've definitely sad and disappointed to see it hasn't worked for you, and truly embarrassed on behalf of the people who've had such violent response. What a bad look. Talk about compassion. Veganism's not about compassion, man. It's about not fucking stabbing animals. It's a pretty simple thing, but yeah, sure, people could have been more reasoned in their responses, as you know, but this is still a bit soft, to be honest, dude. I mean, where's the pushback? I don't like how people are just taking it like, oh yeah, this is a really reasonable take. None of that video was reasonable. None of it. It was all just complete and utter just feelings and what he's going through, and no attempts to continue what he's doing without, you know, to continue living and get better without stabbing animals. Like, it was all just, you know, it was basically making a lot of excuses, which he said he wasn't trying to do. Alex, you mentioned struggling to get sufficient calories, and veganism aside, here's something to help me. I have an eating disorder over long periods. I had days where I wasn't eating, I suppose. I was eating 0 to 700 calories. Meal replacement drinks such as Soylent or Huel were helpful for me, as it allows you to drink several hundred calories quickly, and they're also vegan. Also, smoothies with protein powder, banana, peanut butter. Not going to comment on anything else here. Just wanted to leave this here in case it's helpful. Look at that. That's got 159 likes. That's the type of comment you want somebody to fall on, isn't it? That's the type of comment that you want someone to come over and go, oh my God, I had these issues. And they go to the comments and they say, oh my God, look at Zachary. Zachary's helping. I'm going to do that because I care about animals. It's a good one. Don't know what I expected, but this cuts close to home for me. Talking about IBS. Just talking about IBS. People are happy that he's talking about IBS. Had similar issues my whole life. Yeah, this is somebody who doesn't... Oh, wait. Somebody is trying to be vegan, they say. But yeah. Yeah, this is the type of person that you could do with responding to and helping. Basically, just someone says that they're struggling to get enough food because of similar issues. But yeah, these problems can be easily fixed within a plant-based diet. Okay, let's look for the big comments. Has he been deleting? Some of you guys said he's been deleting comments. Hey Alex, your meat eater's guide to veganism introduced me to veganism, whereas I otherwise was predisposed against it. I appreciate the transparency and all the content you've put out. Okay, well, that's not a vegan, but it's someone who's just happily entertaining Alex's ideas without actually doing anything about it, which is lame. Weak. Want to start by saying I hope you get through whatever mental issues you're dealing with. Someone with IBS, I understand how the mental issues can lead to a vicious cycle with these diseases. With that out of the way, I want to thank you for the encouraging entertainment you brought me. Okay, just saying thank you about stuff. Truly, since watching that video, a cognitive dissonance video, I've been heavily considering the possibility of veganism, and I had a moral obligation to do so. This discussion has further challenged me. The next time I visit my GI doctor, I'm going to ask him about swapping to a plant-based or at least plant-focused diet. Wants to cut out factory farm products. I hope you'll continue to discuss veganism, but I understand if you wish to remain silent about it. Interesting. Well, at least that person's going to do something positive with this video, so that's something. It's something positive, right? It's something that hopefully other people are as nuanced and taking this as intelligently as this guy is. Let's hope his GI doctor points him in the right direction and gets him eating plant-based. Look after yourself, Alex. Obviously, you have a lot of people pulling for you, and they seem to genuinely care for you. Well, I mean, that's most people in the comments. You wouldn't know that from the video, though, would you? Just looking for any big ones here, guys. Like, the biggest comments so far have been pretty good, actually. And this is the thing. It's mostly supportive. He just picked out the worst, didn't he? To show in the video. The entire point of understanding what we should do is also about understanding what we can do, so I hope you're able to grow and progress without being too hard on yourself. Thanks for your videos and perspectives. That would be the case if he'd actually done everything possible before making the decision he made, but I don't believe he has. He's not done everything he possibly could before he started to hurt animals again. So no, I don't agree with that comment. I admire your honesty, not vegan, but drastically cut down consumption and eating more vegan veggie options. Okay. I mean, yeah, as I said, he positively influenced a lot of people. He was a good influence before all of this. Stay strong. Sorry to hear you've been struggling. Yep. Same. It sucks. We've been through that. But as I said, not here to cry together about this. He has all of his followers for that. We're here to talk about animals, right? First of all, I hope that your mental, physical health gets treated. Your honesty, integrity is appreciated. You maybe consider veganism, and your latest update does not discourage me at all. I hope you get back on track as soon as possible. Best wishes and support. Again, good. Glad to see there are people that are nuanced enough to be able to actually understand, that in the video he was saying that he doesn't blame this on the plant-based diet, which is good that he said that multiple times, because people who aren't morons will understand that, right? But unfortunately, most people are not that nuanced and they don't pay that much attention. That's the worry, that's the concern. But a couple people do, so that's good. And that's good that it's a top voted comment as well. Alex played a big role in my journey to veganism. I'll always be grateful for that, though I suspect I might not completely agree with this choice. I also don't have the necessary info to know for sure. I hope you continue to make pro-vegan content, especially since the outrageous responses you got demonstrate how hard it is to come by good advocates of veganism. We need you back as soon as you're ready. Well, yeah, I mean, the comments he showed, as we said again, they're just picking the worst of a good bunch. There was a lot of good comments. He picked the worst out. But I agree with the last bit. Yeah, it'd be great to have him back. We want him to go vegan, and we want him to continue his good work, don't we? We want him to come back and not simp. That's one thing that's important. We don't want him simping for Michaela Peterson anymore. That would be great if he could stop doing that. And if he could come back and make solid, ethical, vegan-related content, that'd be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? Would be pretty awesome. That looks like it's about it for the top comments. I mean, there's a lot of comments here. I'm just looking for the ones that have the most upvotes because they're the ones that'll be seen, right? And yeah, Race, you're right. There's plenty of great vegan advocates. He's not like... People are acting like he was some kind of fucking Jesus of the vegan world or something. He definitely wasn't. There's plenty of awesome activists out there. Yeah, there we go then, guys. There you go. So, yeah, what else to say? I mean, like I said, I've already said it. It is what it is. He said what he said. We criticized it. We're up to date. And if you're thinking about this stuff, if you've got these problems yourself, guys, like we've said, get professional help from people who understand the plant-based diet. Don't just go off on one and start, eating meat again and eating animals again. The eating animals and eating meat should be literally the absolute last possible thing you would ever think of doing. To stab somebody else it's got to be, whatever you're going through has to be so extreme with just no other choice whatsoever. Like, for you to go and stab an animal and eat them. I mean, come on. It has to be that there's literally no choice whatsoever. And it wouldn't be justified, but it would be understandable in that time. You'd be able to explain it, but not justify it, right? This isn't that moment. I saw one of you wanted to have a look at real-time comments. We can have a quick look. We could have a quick look at like the most recent ones, but I don't think we're gonna see. Let's have a look. 1 minute. We'll have a look at a couple of the most recent ones to see if there's anything like interesting. All right. Did you ever reach out to a plant-based nutritionist? And we know that's the answer is probably no. Internet comments managed to make me disappointed by humanity. Yeah, some bad ones there. Sorry to you about the situation. Shame when honesty and candor about personal circumstances results with vitriol. Or someone's just shitting on veganism, basically. Vegan's not about diet. You have so many people and resources who could help you if you actually wanted to not harm animals. Really disappointing. It's from Simon. Agreed. Veg Antichrist here says sympathizes, but well, that's a lot of it's a good text, but I think it's basically just saying, I'm going to go through quickly, that it's wants him to empathize with those sending hateful messages. Pile on vegans not impactful, but it comes from a place of dismay. Yes, we know that. Your definition of practicable in previous conversations reeks of unacknowledged privilege, like being in France when he messaged Joey Carbstrong. Yeah, that was bad. How does this level of inconvenience justify the harm of supporting animal agriculture? It doesn't, of course. How can people take us serious as a movement when things get a bit tricky, we throw ethics out the window, like I said earlier? When shit gets hard, it's when you know you're a vegan, right? Like an actual ethical person who is vegan. People have died for their beliefs in other movements. People have endured infinitely more difficulty for what they believe in than you did as a vegan, let alone that backlash. I get that any negativity, especially when you're feeling low, can feel like hate, but I hope you'll be able to separate it out. I hope you remember that. You're not the victim. Animals are. That's a very good comment from the Veg Antichrist. So exactly what animals are you consuming? What animals do you now feel it's okay to torture and eat? Abuse, torture, and eat? Still passionately opposed to factory farming. Glad to hear that, but 99%, 98% of animal products that people eat come from factory farming. It's a good point. Isn't it mind-numbing refutation of your current change of heart? Very about what you find to be easily doable. Very sad for veganism. Yep. Good, Frederick. Good point. Half-baked explanation with no details. The first one gaslit a lot of people, so you only have yourself to blame for that. And as somebody who was on a bad vegan diet and just as much depression now as did on a meat diet, the rest sounds like bollocks to me. Someone's trying to say they don't believe him. Yeah. Vegans are a cult. Yeah. Ooh, vegans cult. Sure. So what you're saying is you're literally full of shit. That's funny. But yeah, a little bit. My opinion on you is even worse after this. You are not a good person and you were never vegan. I mean, he was vegan. The idea, there's something we can talk about. The idea of like people never being vegan, it's just not correct, guys. People can be vegan and then it's not like a change of mind, but they can upend everything they believe in and be an abuser again. People go from being, for example, like, I don't know, anti-racist to racist. That happens. It genuinely happens. People go from being feminist to some, horrible misogynist. Like these things happen. What you can question, the real question is that to know if they were ever vegan in the first place is like, were they talking about the ethics? Did they express publicly the beliefs? Like, oh yeah, I am a vegan. I believe this, I believe this, I believe this, etc. In his case, it appears that he did. So, for example, okay, check this out then. If Earthling Ed turned around tomorrow and said he's no longer vegan, would you say he was never vegan? No, can't do that. Could you? Because he was, right? So ex-vegans exist. It's just that most of them aren't. Most of them aren't ex-vegans. Like when we do the reactions to other people's videos, they are not ex-vegans we're reacting to. They're people who tried the plant-based diet. They never gave a shit about animals. Then I agree with you. They're not ex-vegan. In Alex's case, I mean, from what I can see, it seems like he was vegan, and now it isn't. Interesting, since the number one treatment for IBS is fiber, a high fiber diet and even something like metamucil, I don't know what that is, oral fiber replacement, it's confusing since plant diets contain lots of fiber. Good point. So you're just lazy then and can't be bothered to follow a vegan diet. I'm celiac and vegan and I manage very well. I also cycle long distance regularly, so I need the calories. So I'm very confused that you can't get the calories you need. Yep. See, these are none of these comments. No one's in here calling him any kind of name. You know, no one's calling him names or anything. So it's where's all of the vitriol that he was talking about? There's none. There's none. And yeah, good point. Someone just said in the comments there about Joey Carbstrong with the convenience stuff. Was that in the live chat? Was it here? I can't remember. I just saw it. But when he was talking to Joey and sending him texts about it's hard in France. I mean, the writing was on the wall, because basically this whole video was talking about convenience, convenience, convenience. My mental health is bad, my IBS is bad, and it's inconvenient to be vegan right now. Well, he'd already shown signs of that when he was in France, and it was inconvenient for him to be vegan. So it's really not a surprise, is it, that this happened this way? When you combine somebody who already is putting their own convenience first with mental health issues and IBS, it's just a ticking time bomb of them making an excuse to go back and hurt animals again. The real red flag is people reacting with hatred and disgust to you being open and sincere with your struggles. No, he wasn't open and sincere with his struggles in the community tab post. It was vague and irresponsible, and people were pissed off. So, no, it's not a red flag. It's a perfectly, people being disgusted and being angry is a reasonable response. Have fun on your picnics. Funny. Yeah. Some people do fine on a vegan diet, other people can't survive. We are omnivorous after all, which is why it is immoral to advocate veganism. That's so stupid. Omnivorous means you can survive on both, doesn't mean you need both. Look up the word. I have no problems with meat, but if we can abolish factory farming by creating meat in an artificial way, then I'll go for it. Well, if you have no problem with meat, then why do you want to abolish factory farming? People are full of shit, aren't they? I don't care about killing animals, but factory farming is bad. Make your fucking mind up. If factory farming is bad, then killing animals is bad. So just go vegan now. Alex may be having Crohn's disease, most likely. Sounds like what I've heard Crohn's sounds like. Vegans give themselves a bad rep. Occasionally. Everybody, meat eaters give themselves a bad rep. There are weird people everywhere. And sometimes it can be bad. Oh, here's a bad one, it seems. Lol, what an absolute joke. Dude, you actually are fucking retarded. Not sure exactly where Alex lives, but the UK has an insane amount of vegan options. Alex literally makes a living from YouTube. 512k subscribers, more than adequate for him to live just making videos. I live in rural NC. I've been vegan 20 years. Blood work is fine. I work a real job. I have to cook almost all my own food, prepare food beforehand to eat in my car on a lunch break. What an absolute clown. You make YouTube videos for a living. It's an excuse. We all know it's an excuse. Enjoy that pepperoni pizza, you idiot. Yeah, pretty aggressive, but we've pointed out all these things in our video. Take away the insults, and you've got UK has an insane amount of vegan options. It does. He makes a living from YouTube. He does. The excuses he made around it being convenient, etc., they're shit excuses. He can make his own nutritionally dense foods and take them to speeches and stuff. He can take his own nutritionally dense foods wherever he goes, plant-based foods. He's choosing not to. So this is harsh, but it's not, it's pretty accurate. Plant foods are nutritious, carnism debunked. Fruit and veg being the most nutritionally dense foods, and can be calorically dense too. Things like nuts, oil, peanut butter, avocados, and so on. I really can't see how resorting to animal abuse is the solution you chose here when you could just choose this instead. From what it sounds like, your IBS was worse growing up as a non-vegan than it was as an adult vegan. So this U-turn doesn't make sense. Please speak to one of the many people in the vegan community who are more than qualified to help you see this, see sense, because what you're saying here doesn't make any. Good comment. George smashed it. This is kind of shocking considering how rock solid your thought process is. Why would you need to reevaluate your ethical position on eating animals? It's not a fluid position. It seems like you just want to eat meat again and are doing mental gymnastics to get there. It does. He's not of sound mind, and he's doing mental gymnastics to get to this conclusion. I agree. You just didn't want to be vegan anymore. Just admit it. No more fucking lies and move on. It's simple. Regtard? What's that? Never heard that one before. The last couple of weeks haven't been easy for you. How do you think those weeks have been for the animals you've been consuming? Quite a bit worse, yeah? It's true. Can you even get vegetables in England right now? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're there. Vegans attacking other vegans with statements of immoral retribution justice for dropping veganism is a whole new kind of hypocrisy in itself. That sure makes it sound like they aren't vegans for the moral argument, but for other reasons entirely. Well, they're not vegans attacking other vegans. When the person is no longer vegan, it's vegans attacking somebody who's paying for animals to be stabbed and shot and gassed. So, yeah, they are going to attack. Of course they're going to attack, especially when somebody knows better. When they know what happens to animals, vegans will attack. How they attack is you can debate the best ways to do it or not do it, but them attacking in the first place, it's going to happen. Same way if somebody was a massive anti-racist and then suddenly started spouting racist rhetoric, everybody would attack them. And it would be justified, wouldn't it? You could argue about whether it's useful or not, fine, but you can't deny that, their right to be upset and attack. Come on. Humans designed to eat meat. Eating meat is one of the things that makes us what we are, like it or not. What does that even mean? Makes us what we are. What does that even? What are you trying to get at? Like, or if I start, because I don't eat meat, so I'm not human anymore. Is it part of what I am? And if I don't do it, I'm not that. A stupid comment. I'm sure I missed something. As long as you're healthy, my friend. No. How are these issues going to be solved? By going back to eating and exploiting animals. It's the fucking golden question of today, isn't it? Just shows the true nature of a significant portion of the vegans. Yeah, significant portion. What, 5 or 6 comments out of like 10,000, mate? Significant. That's most vegans who are saying those mean things. No, it isn't. This left me more confused. So how is this health correlated to not being vegan anymore? Nothing in the matter was actually explained. Agree. And that just sums up the bloody video, doesn't it? So guys, don't go back to eating animals if you have health issues if you have health issues or mental health issues. Seek help. Find people who understand why you're a vegan and understand the ethical reasons you're a vegan. Find doctors and nutritionists and dietitians who understand your reasoning for not wanting to hurt animals. Work with them because they will work with you within those boundaries because they will understand you and respect you. If you work with somebody who does not understanding that, they will screw you over by telling you have to eat meat and stuff. You've got to find somebody who understands it, right? They're available online. They're on Instagram. You can book appointments with them. They make YouTube videos, some of them. They're everywhere. You could join up to something like Challenge 22 and they actually have people that can help with stuff like that as well. That's free as well. I won't say it's the fastest thing in the world because they're pushed for time, but it's free. There's tons and tons of resources out there. You just got to go looking for it. You just got to literally open Google, type it in. It's really not difficult, yeah? And the idea of stabbing an animal in the neck, getting one shot in the head, or gassing them, or any of this horrible shit, keep that at the forefront of your mind and ask yourself, constantly ask yourself, is it worth it? Like, okay, I feel bad, but that's happening. Okay, what can I do before I get there? What can I do before I even consider doing that? Because that is just abhorrent, disgusting, so horrific that you would do that to an innocent little animal that did fuck all wrong to anyone. Before you even thinking about doing that, you do everything else possible in your power. You Google some shit. You find some stuff out. You go see a gut doctor. Yeah, go see a bloody therapist. There's so many steps you can take. So much you can do before you even considering doing that to an animal. Come on, guys. Come on. All the info's out there for you. We live in an age of information. Everything's available to you at your fingertips. There is no excuse at this point to not know something. If you don't know the answer to something, you can Google it. If you don't find it on Google, spend some time researching it. If you still don't find it, speak to some experts who might have researched it. You know, there's so many options out there for you. There's so much information. It's just all freely available. There's just no excuse to be ignorant. Yeah. In today's world, in 2023, ignorance is a choice. You are choosing to be dumb at this point, right? If you don't look this stuff up, if you just go making decisions, like, I'm going to go kill animals again because, oh, duh, I'm having problems with my stomach and I don't know what to do, then you're being a fucking idiot. You got Google, you're capable of using the internet to find stuff out, book time with a therapist, book time with a nutritionist, book time with an IBS specialist. It just guys, anything but putting animals in a slaughterhouse, yeah? Come on. That's all I've got to say on the topic. I hope you found this useful today, guys. We partly ranted, we partly gave advice, we partly were reasonable and trying to be understanding, we partly called shit out that needed to be said, called out BS, tried to balance it as much as I possibly could. Hopefully bloody sees the important parts of it. And if anyone chats shit to you about this and brings this up, you can send them to this live stream here. And if they want a full response from a vegan, here's where they can come and get it. And I would hope that it would drive them to seeing the problems here were not with veganism or the plant-based diet. The problems were with mental health and IBS, both of which can be managed while eating plants and while not putting animals in slaughterhouses. Really important. Guys, if you enjoy my work and you want to help me make more videos, you want to be a part of the core team, well, firstly, thank you to everybody who did already send through super chats today and Streamlabs tips and supported the stream. I appreciate all of you fucking legends. And thank you to everybody who's already a YouTube member or a Patreon member. So basically, guys, what that means is if you are interested in supporting on a more consistent basis, you can join the Patreon team. Here's kind of what it looks like from one angle. I will open it up. Actually, what I'll do is I'll open it up from the angle you'll see. And basically what happens is when you sign up with a Patreon, you get access to DMs with me. So basically you will be able to talk to me, ask me questions, run stuff by me, anything you want, basically. I'll be there, be able to talk to you in the Patreon DMs, and you get priority as well, which is really cool. I think I like talking to you guys. I'm talking to a couple of you right now, and I do enjoy doing that. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to fix this so I can get the Patreon up. There we go. That's what it looks like, okay? So you can join the team, and yeah, you'll get access to the DMs with me. You'll be supporting the channel on a consistent basis, and it'll allow me to do more of what I'm doing now, make more cool videos and interesting videos, defend animals with the work that we're doing, as well as the work that's going on in the background, which we're working on a project right now. It's a private project, secret project, but it won't be secret soon. But trust me, once this project's live, you'll be very happy that you've supported the channel. So that's one way you can support and become a part of the team through Patreon. And as I said, the biggest bonus for that, apart from helping me, is that you get access to the DMs, which is really cool, to DM with me directly. So that's awesome. And also, if you've seen the guys in the chat, you've got the green on people's names. That's the YouTube memberships team. If you want to have that green logo and the green text and everyone can see you're a legend, join the YouTube memberships team. You don't get the DMs like Patreon, but you do get that cool green text and green logo. So I think that's pretty cool. Both of them have their bonuses, their pluses. Both of them really support the channel and support me. So please do consider joining up to one of them being part of the team, the Ram Fam. The Ram Fam. Oh, yeah, and of course, if you want one of these T-shirts, davidrams.com, pick it up. Got loads of cool T-shirts on there as well. Guys, it was an emotional one today. I hope it helped. Stay strong out there, guys. Don't let this bullshit get you down, and keep calling out this BS. Always call it out, all right? I'll see you all in the next one.